And welcome to Sober Banter. Colin is not here. Today we have a guest, an author of a memoir. I actually have the book right here. It is called Should I Do Sober by Kellie Adams. Hi, Kellie.
Hi, Rachel.
I have two quotes that I came up when looking up some of the shit I do sober. From everyday adventures to extraordinary escapes, Shit I Do Sober celebrates the resilience and determination required to embrace an unfiltered life. And I loved the quote too that Kellie does an amazing job of telling her story and being very candid about it. When you know someone is struggling with addiction, you see the tips of the iceberg. Kellie's story lets us know what was below the surface, deep and wide.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite reviews so far. I know I figured about that.
So sobriety date is June 9th, 2014.
Yep.
So congratulations. And oh, so my mom is 2014. So you just celebrate 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, congratulations, I guess. I'm closer to 11 now than 10. One day at a time.
Oh,
right?
my mom is July 1st.
Sober?
Yes.
That's great.
And I was born in Battle Creek. So, I mean, they're from Lansing in Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, all my family is still out there. And I think my grandma's in Dearborn right now.
Oh, yep.
I had asked my mom if she knew where Costa, Michigan was, and she did not. But it is in the suburbs. We looked on a map and I saw where Lansing is, and it's got to be a pretty little town.
It's tiny. Yeah, and even tinier. So I grew up there from 67. Let's see, when did I move? I was born in 67. I moved in 93. So a long time.
So those are the exact years my mom did.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so very well. So yeah, it was like idyllic childhood, honestly. And you hear a lot of times in sobriety, like unfortunate childhoods, right? That stunk. I mean, I had challenges, which I know you write about in the book. But when I think back to those times in Wakusta, I grew up on a gravel road, rode my bike to the general store. It sounds like one of those stories 70-year-old tells you, right? Like, rode my bike to all the gravel store or gravel road to the store and whatever. It was super cool. It was a really good place to grow up, and I'm super thankful for it. Life was not without challenges, but I still have the best memories. And I always think if I could buy my old house back out there, I would.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, throughout the book, some of the things that I really love about it is the pictures, but after each chapter, kind of having its own little separate page, reading a memoir about getting sober. It's not like we have a super fun time. There are some brutal, honest conversations. It's nice to have the little lighthearted picture. It made me feel like I really connected and kind of know you after reading.
So good. I've done 2 podcast interviews, but they were before it was published. Getting feedback was really neat. And that was the point. Should I Do Sober was a concept I started as a blog. And it really was just out of boredom when I was in early sobriety. It was like, oh, I was making oatmeal one day, instant oatmeal. I mean, let's get real. And I noticed on the package, there was a measuring thing. You can measure your water on the package. And so that was one of my, like, should I do sober? Like, I'm aware enough to know, like, for 30 years, I've been making instant oatmeal. You can measure whatever.
No, yeah. I relate a lot to that.
In fact, right now, I'm watching the series Lost. And I watched that years ago when I was still drinking. I remember nothing of it. I don't remember how it ended. So those insert pages, I mean, the title, Should I Do Sober? So those insert in between the chapter pages are all the shit I do sober. Within, like you said, the trauma and the depths of our bottoms. And it's funny, my brother read it and I kind of warned him. He's 11 years older than me. And there's some stuff in there Big Brother probably doesn't want to read, right? And he passed the book on a couple weeks ago. I told Sherry it was a sad story. I'm like, no, it's not. But it is. I mean, there's parts that are very sad, but I don't want it to be perceived that way. I think it's a revival.
Right. The way that I've found to understand, I think Colin's parents to even this podcast in the first few episodes, they also see it as sad because they didn't know what we were going through behind the scenes. They were a part of our lives as our family. And when we talk about what it was really like, they feel guilty or badly, like, how did we not see it? But that was the point. We were trying to cover it up. We weren't trying to showcase how much we were drinking. And so I'm like, it's not, our podcast isn't sad. And they're like, to hear what was happening and how much you guys were struggling. And the fact that they were a part of our life the whole time, I think is what it's that, the ego of them, of they should have known, or
Yeah.
I think that's why I understand, because if I were to hear that on the opposite end, I would also probably be like, man, I wish I could have been there to help, but there's nothing they could have done. I want to say it
No.
probably made it worse.
Yeah, my sister and brother, I'm the baby. And my sister read it a couple weeks ago, and she's like, I read it in 2 days, which is a record. She's like, I am so sorry I wasn't there for you. And I was like, I wouldn't have accepted it. And you were there for me when I was little, and you've been there for me with my daughters, but I hid it for a reason.
Right.
It's like the iceberg quote you mentioned in the beginning. They
Mhm.
only saw what I wanted them to see. And even my ex-husband, the day I hit bottom, it's in the book, but he came over and his words were like, what happened to you? And I was like, you lived with me for 12 years. How do you not know? But I was a master.
I think alcoholics and addicts, whichever you want to say, I believe the most brilliant people in the world. And I am so good at being a mastermind of like, and the things that I could manipulate and sell and move to make the addiction work was it's a skill almost. On page 51 of your book, you talk about this 10-step schedule. And I related to that so much because my whole life with Evan after he was born was, how do I be a stay-at-home mom and a full-time alcoholic? Because the triggering of being a mom, you say waking up before the kids, morning wine, and then adding the Xanax, dealing with the postpartum depression. So when did you have you have two daughters?
Yeah, they were born in 1999 and 2001. It was my first baby that I had the postpartum almost immediately, but I hid it for 9 months. The alcohol bottom was scary, but that postpartum bottom was fine because I hid it for so long and it just took over. Like addiction, honestly, like the voice, not like I'm hearing voices.
No, I know what you mean, because I always
Depression.
mhm. It's a
Yeah,
different level. I was drinking while that was going on, and I tried to use the drinking to mask it.
me too.
And I related so deeply to you saying you're looking at this small child, like, how could I love something this much? It is wild. I was the happiest I've ever been. I was on cloud nine. The nurses and doctor got some mix up that they wanted me to go back on Klonopin, and I said no because it passes through the breast milk, and I was breastfeeding. My mom was high up at the hospital. I got moved up on a list. The person who was in charge of the psychiatry department came in and she thought I was suicidal. It went dark very fast. And I was like, no, he was the happiest I'd ever been. I don't want to go back on drugs. Life is new. I have this baby, everything's different. And this is like one day post giving birth. And all of a sudden they had me on a psych watch thinking that I was uh just because it jumped the list. There was so much miscommunication. And then I started getting asked all of these deep, dark questions that triggered a whole other level of fear, scaredness. And then the postpartum kicked in about 7 days after, where I have those intrusive thoughts. I just won't ever, I would imagine anytime we went to the doctors, getting him in the car, he would fly through the windshield. Like I would have this whole vision that, hey, I missed a buckle. I forgot. I would never want to drop him. And I would hold so tightly,
Mhm.
like, because I just had this envision of just letting my arms go.
Yeah, crazy is the right way to explain that. I mean, we're not crazy.
No,
Those
I
thoughts
learned,
are so bad.
and they feel so real. I learned that it's my brain trying to protect me from the fear of that happening, which is why they're running through these scenarios. I ended up having to then see a therapist because I'm that scared of being isolated and held in the hospital with all of these dark questions about suicide, about harming the baby. Can I afford to have the baby? They asked, like, am I financially stable enough? And I had to go to a therapist, and I had sticky notes all over the house. This is an intrusive thought. This is not real.
Oh, I do that too. I still do that.
It would,
Now they're usually prayers instead of that, but whatever. Post-it notes and dry erase markers, they're my favorites.
oh my God. So when I had read that, they had told me the reason they didn't want me to not go back on Klonopin is because postpartum can be so hard. I think they made it extremely, like, exponentially worse by triggering that event. It's really hard to explain, other than it is very similar to the alcoholism thoughts of even just trying to control it. And oh, tomorrow I'll get the help. Tomorrow I'll get the help.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was tomorrow I'll tell my husband because I hid it from him. He went to work and oh my gosh, it was desperate. Finally, one day I just had to put my daughter swing outside because those thoughts of hurting her came back. I was like, what? Why? I don't want to hurt this little human.
I know.
I just put her in a swing and called him. I'm like, you need to come home. And he was, again, the same day I hit bottom, he came over and was like, what happened? I'm like, I've been feeling this for 9 months. And then I got therapy and went on medication. And when my second child was born, Jessa, I started therapy before I even delivered. And that one I didn't have any issues with, but I never stopped drinking.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the pharmacist warned me of drinking and taking it medication because they're all depressants.
Oh, I didn't care about that.
I didn't either.
I would be like, they don't understand my tolerance. That warning is for people that aren't professionals like I was, like, and Colin and I still laugh about that.
I shouldn't know, like, oh, he's talking to these people behind me in line, not me.
Yeah, no. Anytime.
I got this, right?
Yeah, exactly. What inspired you to write the memoir? Did you have like a moment where you're like, okay, here's a time I want to make my own book?
Yeah. So as the blog and Instagram started to grow a presence, I panicked a little bit. Like, well, I've always wanted to write a book. I just never knew what about. Who knew that sobriety would be the thing? But I started pulling those posts off Instagram because I realized it was probably worthy of a book. But when I started really doing the book, which was 2017, I got sober in 2014, I realized this is probably going to be a way bigger project than I thought. And sure enough, when I got my editor and sent her everything, she's like, you need to do a deeper dive on these stories. And that really inspired me to create what ended up a 250-page book. Otherwise, it was just, I don't know what I was going to do with it, but I was so panicked. Like, what if someone steals my idea? So I pulled my Instagram page down. I pulled the blogs down, shut my website off. Yesterday, a friend from Michigan who I've known for years, I asked her if she had enjoyed the book. And she said, oh, I only read half because I gave it to someone who needed it. This person happens to be an alcoholic, my friend, but her friend needed the book. And I said, that is exactly why I wrote it. I want it to get in the hands of people who need it, especially moms and women, because we are targeted. Don't get me on a soapbox about the marketing, but mom wine and mommy o'clock or whatever, wine o'clock, and how to deal with your children. Well, I did. I'm not bashing anybody who does because I thought that shit was hilarious. But now I'm like, God, we don't stand a chance.
No.
And I embraced it and whatever. But I'm glad my book is ending up in the hands of people who need it. That was my point. I joke because I say I drank in the laundry room. Well, I drank everywhere, but I would.
I did too.
My laundry room was a closet. It wasn't even a room, but I would go in there and sit on the washer, the dryer, and drink. It's like, this isn't living. And that's why I wrote the book, was like, I'm going to share this. I'm going to be raw about it, get dirty details that are, there's some dirty stuff. I would call it dirty, spicy stuff in sobriety that's in the book too. But those things that are scary, it's like the first time I did dance sober. You get drunk at 13 years old, you don't have a whole lot of sober dancing in your. I just wanted it to be relatable and hopefully help some people. I drank for way too long in my life. Period.
I think it's amazing what you share in the opening. It resonated so deeply. Just the introduction, the very first sentence, I didn't want to die. I just couldn't figure out how to live without alcohol. And that was exactly me. My husband and I, we drank till we blacked out. If he tried to tell me to slow down because we had a 1-year-old, I used it as an excuse. Like, my 1-year-old was the reason. If you had a colic kid like I did, like, the alcohol was that. How else do you think I deal with it? It was 100% like, because I'm a mom, if you understood how hard being a mom was, you would drink the way I drank.
I now think she's autistic, and for years, oh, she's autistic, she's difficult today. Well, that was 20 years. Which I guess now she was 13 years of drinking her into a corner, basically.
When I got sober and working the steps, I realized my whole life ran around How can I drink? How can we even go to dinner? I won't be able to drive home. How do we can we put a car seat in an Uber? If you don't think I've Googled it, I have. And that is bizarre. It seems so normal because this mommy wants her wine. Oh, mommy has her in the Stanleys. I'm fitting in with all the other moms. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so
the container swaps. I talk about the vitamin water bottles in my book. Like I always had purse wine. I always had Fireball. I go to my kids' concerts with a vitamin water or a coffee cup full of wine. The vitamin water was really handy. The deception of our own brains by our own disease is crazy. And the links we go to, there's a post on Instagram the other day about a mom hiking and what a relief it is not to sneak wine into her Nalgene or her beverage pack or whatever. It's like, I get that. But it's so encouraged too. Like, it's okay, mom, just drink.
yeah.
And it's the autistic daughter is 23 now, and she went through hell 2 years ago. And I was sober. We went through hell. I just think, God, if I hadn't been sober, I would have probably caused a lot more damage. And I wouldn't have been there for her. And that's the gift. For all those years that I drank her into a corner, and my oldest, because it all went together. I was stressed out. With stressed out and hungover, not a good mix.
As I shared, my mom got sober 1 month after you got sober, and I was already an adult. I had grown up. I was actually mad that she got sober the year I turned 21. It's been really nice to have her as a sober mom. We talk about the childhood stuff. I didn't notice it with her as much as my dad, but it has been really cool to see the transformation, especially having her as a sober grandma. She loves that my son will never see her drink, and she's the one that helped me get sober. I called her when I was I didn't want to die. I was so suicidal the day before my last drink. I thought I just needed to get locked up because I was so, for the first time, like, serious. And I really didn't want to die because that's why I'm asking for help, right? But I did because I couldn't stop drinking. And I also said it's not the drinking, it's my brain. I need to go somewhere and get help. Now my mom knew because she is sober, and she saw me and she picked up me and my son. Thank God, because she helped take care again. He just turned 2. Had she not been sober, I don't know that I would have gotten sober. So it's been cool to have a sober mom. And I'm sure your kids appreciate it too.
Yeah, it's pretty neat to hear your perspective because my kids are 25 and 23. And my oldest is so thankful. I've done amends with her and it was very powerful, but there's still things I apologize for. And I can see some of her behavior. I'm like, I know that's a result of my drinking. I don't like park there and fret on it and all that, but I can still see there's deep damage there. And I haven't done the amends with my youngest. There because of the autism. She's very high functioning, but there's a lack of what she would think my motivation is in that. And it's been recommended that if I do that or when I do that, we will do it with her counselor. So she can have us mediate my daughter's thoughts with my amends. But for now, that living amends, like I'm a different mom.
Yeah.
Our voice last week and she was like, "You're acting like you used to." I was like, "Oh God."
Oh man. If my son said that, I'd be like, okay. Because I still have moments just because I stopped drinking. Not everything's fixed. It's just that I'm not going to make the same mistakes I did when I was blacked out. I can't remember, but I think you bring up a great point of amends. If it harms the other person, people will argue in meetings about amends being like direct and immediate. Making sure that they're on the terms they're supposed to be on, reciprocated in the way they're supposed to be, the other person matters too. It's nice to share that because I think it's worth thinking about the other person when you're going to make amends. I know I've shared the amends are for you, not for the other person. But if it's in a scenario where you're like, hey, they're not going to hear it, we need to have someone in between. I think that's really powerful to share because I'm sure there's listeners that are holding on amends for that reason. That's one of those exceptions in the book of if it's going to cause harm, it's okay to wait. So it doesn't mean you're avoiding it. It means you're actually being responsible and not being impulsive and not just getting it out of the way for you. There is the other side of it. So
Yeah. Because my other daughter was done in, I guess it was like 2018. I was 4 years sober when I did that amends with my oldest. And right now it's a living amends with my youngest. She's needed a lot of support the last 2 years, and I've been there.
I think that's what my mom swears she made amends to me, but I do not remember it. Once I got sober, I was like, I don't ever remember getting an amends from you. And she's like, I did. I guess I probably was drinking at the time. And the good thing about her is that as someone who was sober, she saw all the things of me. But the part that was hard was she couldn't really do anything about it until the moment came because it'll spoil that opportunity. Had she hounded me about it, I would not have called her that day and it wouldn't have worked. Another part that you write about in the book, and I have this tab for that reason, it's about the middle. You talk about service work. I love the part about giving back and taking on things such as meetings, making coffee, just little things. You want to share a little bit about putting it in the book?
Yeah. So I got sober in June. And by that fall, I'm self-employed. One of the gentlemen at the hall who arranged all the parties, the hall is where I got sober, realized I was self-employed would be available. So I went from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas to New Year's to Valentine's, like all the parties. I was out shopping, planning, and baking. And it was kind of a pain in the ass. I was like, why am I going to the dollar store 10 times today? Like, why couldn't he just give me a list? All of that was keeping me sober. But in early sobriety, you don't realize, like, why are they having him go on so many errands? I think he knew what he was doing. But I stayed sober. So that first holiday season, if it hadn't been for Fellowship Hall and all that service work, I wouldn't have stayed sober. I know it. The Halloween party was my first time sober dancing. Even wearing a costume, I was uncomfortable in my own skin. I have never been sober on Halloween as an adult. So once I realized that, I think I started sponsoring when I was about 2 years sober, sponsoring other women. And just this week, I have a sponsee who was, she was about 6 months sober, and she was complaining about her family not doing the dishes. And I was like, well, that's a common theme, right? Talking from one mom to another. I said, why don't you consider it service work? She's like, what? I'm seriously, if you're doing the dishes, you're not drinking. She's like, oh my God, I never thought of it like that. Yeah. So now, I have two sponsees. I do chair meetings at the hall. But in the beginning, it was washing coffee cups. It was making coffee, whatever I had to do. Anytime I was doing service work, I wasn't drinking.
A great way to look at it.
I guess still do regret it. I go to bed super early. So if someone wants me to do something at 8, I'm like, but I go do it and I feel really good.
The question I always posed on myself was similar to what you just said, just reframed a little differently. Would I go get a drink or pick up alcohol if that were the case, like right now? At any time in sobriety, at least I'm not drinking. I was like, well, if you would have asked me, would you go get a drink right now? Someone texted me that. Would I pick up the phone? So like when I saw a sponsee or someone calling, it's like, oh, wait, I'm in the middle of stuff, but would I get a drink if that were ringing? Yeah, I would. So then it's the same kind of concept of now I've had a harder time with the service work because my first year I really was away in pretty in meetings, 3 meetings a day sometimes because that's just how I drink at home. And this year 3, I've really kind of lessened up because I have a 5-year-old who requires so much time. And I feel guilty at times where I have to choose between doing the mom events that I'm grateful I get to be sober to do those.
Right.
And between doing recovery events, which now I'm kind of sideline my family, but if I'm not sober, I don't have a family. So it gets this really murky to actually down. I don't even have a sponsee right now because it's hard when someone's reaching out and I'm having to choose between family events. It's really busy right now and I don't feel like it's fair because I'm not able to be available. Like even this week with surgery. It's it's hard. There's that part with the momming. If you say that in a meeting, I think I'll have 20 women come up to me after and say, you're so lucky you get to be sober and he doesn't remember you drinking.
Right.
I get it. It's also just hard to be a mom with a little one and also trying to dedicate my life to what saved it. And I don't have a college degree. I'm going back to school. It's a lot of different hats that I'm trying on, trying to figure out how to give back while doing the mom life.
Yeah, there's a balance for sure. I just dropped a couple service positions. I thought I was in a position to do that because I've usually just sponsored or helped out at the halls or with events. But I decided to try to be a GSR. I realized that my youngest, she still requires a lot of me, especially having been through the trauma she went through. It's like, I can't do this. And that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know, my sponsor always says, don't let the life that sobriety gave you get in the way of your sobriety. So it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I see what she's saying there, right? So I had to drop those service positions. I'm still doing a sponsorship thing, but I just can't do it right.
And
She requires too much.
yeah, and I think the other part is those people that were my sponsors, I still talk to them. It's not like they could call at any time. It's just I can't commit to weekly meetings to read when life is so busy. Hearing some of in early sobriety, some of the things to struggle with of even being bored, I'm like, good God, I wish I could be bored. Like, and I'm just like, have real idea. I think it's always like wearing it's the other side of whatever you don't have, because one of the things I also have marked and wanted to talk about was you meeting your husband at a speaker meeting. That's so cute. Having a sober marriage while I'm still with Colin, we do want to do like a vow renewal wedding, because while I was pregnant, though didn't drink on my wedding day, but that was probably the hardest. My friends almost went and got a bottle of Jameson, and they were like, if you just do a shot, the baby will be fine. My response was, I don't want just one. I don't want, like, I've never just said, no.
That's good. Yeah.
I was so jealous when I saw the Bachelor Collins part is having the mimosas and the alcohol on the day of our wedding. I said, we're redoing this when I'm not pregnant, but we want to get remarried in sobriety, because I don't want my memory to be of how badly I was wanting to drink is one thing I can really, really, really remember. I had a best man, he had a best woman, and I'm like literally was on the edge of buying a bottle of Jameson, but knowing I never just wanted one was hard. Hearing you talk about picking the songs, I would be emotional and I will so want to cry. I think having it in sobriety will be different. But if you want to share about writing, about getting married in sobriety.
Yeah. I met Clay. I didn't want to date anybody. I just got out of a bad breakup. Had never seen this guy before at an AA meeting. I was like, who is he? He told like 15 minutes of his story. And here I am, like, I'm not on rebound or anything. I'm over this other guy.
You were also sober, right? In the previous relationship before, because I read that and I was like, oh, wow, you can still be in a bad relationship in sobriety. Like, it doesn't mean you're sober. Oh, of course I'll pick the good ones. You had a bad relationship in sobriety.
Terrible. And I let it go for 3 years. But I learned a lot. Like, okay, I will not do that again, and I will not settle for that again. And he was supposedly sober too. But anyway, we'll just let that one go.
Anyone that are struggling, it happens. And you can get out.
It's not our faults. I mean, I had the best intentions. I probably should have not dated. I met him when I was 6 months sober. I should have probably not dated till I was a little bit more sober. But whatever.
Learn.
So I met Clay at an AA meeting. He had a sleeve of tattoos and Southern drawl. And I was like, who's that guy? So a friend of mine in sobriety, we both friended him on Facebook, and she was like my partner in crime. Like, I would say, invite him to game night. So she'd invite him. And it took him about 3 months to get the hint that I was interested. And yeah, so we dated almost 3 years, and he asked me to marry him. And it was great. I think we were on our third date, and we were at a frozen yogurt place, and we were walking to the car. He's like, so should we talk to our sponsors about this? We really did it by the book. And I was going to do it by the book because that first one was such a disaster. So we got approval from our sponsor, which we don't have to. It's a suggestion, but I know we did it. And then it was just, full-time relationship. And we got married. See, I met him in 2017. We were married in 2020 during COVID. Small wedding.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it ended up very small, which wasn't bad. And we did have alcohol at the wedding for guests that drank, and we toasted with blood orange sparkling juice.
Yes, I love that.
And the alcohol, we have a friend who there's a lot of alcohol left over because a lot of our guests were sober. But a couple of our friends saw all the leftover alcohol and they were like, "We take it home?" Like, yes, please take it.
Yeah.
I was 6 years sober at that point. He was 7. And we had really considered, should we or shouldn't we? We decided to have the alcohol and because it didn't bother us. We hope it didn't bother any of the other guests.
Yeah.
But it was there. Yeah, and it was far different than my first wedding because I was obsessed with alcohol too. It's in my book. I mean, I remember my whole first wedding, but I was obsessed with the next drink the whole time.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I remember all of it. But it was real nice to try it as a sober way, like, okay, I'm going to actually really be in the moment instead of wanting that next drink or hiding the next drink because a bride shouldn't drink that much on her wedding day, which I started in the morning.
So, had I not been pregnant, I've been slurring my words. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
I love the Recover Out Loud. And your tattoo, it's on your wrist, right?
Yeah. Well, it is. And now I embellished it. So my daughter and I got the triangles, which is in a book. And then my daughter, my little daughter and I, yes, the triangles are down here.
Oh.
And then my youngest and I got more. So this is my daughter tattoo arm. So there's a semicolon, the heart for love, and a cross. She's extremely Christian. I'm not necessarily, but I love her and I support her. And there's an anchor that I went anchor.
I just have my circle, triangle. When I shared about wanting a tattoo, the feedback I got was don't jinx it, don't do it. I originally wanted my date. I left room to put my date. People are like, you're going to be so mad if you have to change it. It scared me off not to get the date. Every time I look down at my wrist and see it, I love it. I've never once regretted it. I look at it as a pause button. The thing about the rooms sometimes of like there's a lot of different personalities, and that's why they say principles before personalities, is that there can be feedback from a lot of different angles, and I tried to take it all in. And now I'm so focused sometimes on the sobriety part that I'm not showing up for my family. It is just a very hard mix. We figure it out, right? We do this, we talk to each other, we connect, and
there's a connection is the opposite of addiction. I was isolated in my house with room darkening curtains the last few years of my drinking. I had friends come over knocking on the door and looking in the window, and I would jump in the shower and hide. Like they're gonna I'm just in here drinking. Leave me alone,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You don't need to worry about me. And even the thought of having to add anything like the Halloween and the trunk or treats, it's like, good God, can I not just drink and leave me alone? I don't want to do this stuff. Skip that.
What's all this organized chaos I have to take part in? Just let me drink.
Yes. Yeah, it's so crazy. So now that the memoir is out, it's published. Is there anything unexpected, or how are you feeling after? Have any challenges arose in reflection or any revelations about writing the memoir?
No, the only thing that came up, there were a couple parts of the book I thought I would get some pretty hard critique on, and I haven't yet. I'm not going to mention all. But I did have a lady who read it who was very uncomfortable with it. She's not one of us, but she was worried. She's like, I feel like I just read your personal diary. And I was like, that's a memoir. And what I said in my response was, if I don't bring the mess, people won't hear the message. So I brought the mess and I published it. And it is messy, but there's also a lot of beauty in that. Like, how do we grow without the mess? I don't think that's possible. I didn't understand that before I got sober. I was a little put off at first that she thought she was reading my diary, but it is. There's stuff in there that when I first got sober and did my first round of steps, I was mortified to share with my sponsor. And now it's right. But honestly, if I'm going to save some lives, one or two, and spare them what I went through for 34 years, it's worth it to me. So far, that's the only thing that's come out.
Okay. That's interesting. I guess the separation of someone recovery, someone not, I never even once thought that because I understand. I'm like, oh yeah, me too. I can market me too. I will say, and this actually comes from the postpartum, is I was mortified to say any of that stuff out loud, probably as much as my drinking before I walked into AA. Now 3 years in, talking about pretty much anything does not even alert me. I'm just like, yeah, Yeah, heard it, done it, or someone else I know has done it.
Anytime you sit in an AA meeting, and I think that's the thing I was telling my brother, was like, if you sat in on a few AA meetings, none of this would be shocking. This could be mild. I mean, my story's pretty mild. In my mind, it's like I went through a lot of emotional stuff, deaths and postpartum and all that. But I've heard other stories, it's like, and we laugh about it in AA meetings. Some of our most tragic stories, we're laughing. I remember when I was in early sobriety, like, oh my God, how are they laughing? That should be embarrassing. It doesn't matter anymore. But that is the difference in someone who's never sat in an AA meeting or tried sobriety and realize that you have to spill the dirt.
Yeah, I do. And so the only really reason I was opening up about the postpartum depression, and it was someone who was one of my drinking buddies. She came over with bottles of wine, and our kids were, I think, 6 months apart. She's asking, how are you dealing? Do you have postpartum depression? And of course, my answer is no, just like the same as I would feel with alcoholic. And she's like, man, it was really hard. And she had shared one of the scariest ones for her. And her sharing that, I was like, oh my God. Well, I had thought about my son going through the window of the car. And it got to where we could actually say it. And when I said it out loud, it kind of lost its power. And that's when I actually sought help. It started being honest about the thoughts I was having, because I felt like if I were to say it out loud, even to my husband, it would become real, or he would think I was crazy and then I would be away from my baby. But it took another mom sharing, this is kind of what happened, to where I'm like, oh my God, I'm not alone. So I think putting that stuff in with sobriety, if you don't have an addiction, it might sound a little crazy to you, but it doesn't sound crazy to this person that's like, oh my God, I didn't know I wasn't the only one.
Well, I think both the common denominator with postpartum depression and addiction or alcoholism is shame. The reason we continue to suffer is shame. We don't, and I always say, use your voice. It'll take the power away once you start talking about it. And in 1999 and 2000, postpartum wasn't that talked about. I remember I was so pissed because Tom Cruise was on Oprah or one of those shows. Like, he was making fun of women who have postpartum. And he was jumping up and down on the couch like crazy. I was like, you asshole. I could have died. My child could have died. It was that serious.
It feels very real.
Yeah. And I told my husband, I'm going to write a book about postpartum, which I never did because I was still drinking and didn't have the bandwidth to write a book. But I so badly realized, like, women were hurting. And it's the same thing with alcohol. Women are hurting, and so are men. I'm not trying to belittle male alcoholism. It's just the targeting toward women and moms is so brutal. It's relentless. When the kids were little, they were probably like 5 and 7. I used to take them to this public pool in Bozeman, Montana, where we lived. I remember I was drinking at the pool while they were swimming, reading this book called Mommies Who Drink. On the cover, this lady had a glass of wine or a martini and a lampshade on her head. It was hysterical because I related to every bit of that book as a drinking mom. Now I'm like, oh my God, just me sitting at a pool drinking wine while my kids are swimming. I'm laughing at a book about alcoholism, basically. I didn't realize it at the time, so now I'd like my book to be that relatable, but on the flip side, right? Sober moms. Shit we can do.
Yeah. I believe your book will get into the hands of people who need it. Again, if they don't, it should be like a congratulations if you don't get it, because you probably have never had a drinking problem. If that doesn't sound relatable, congrats. You're probably a normie. As you were already told, this book was handed to someone who needed it. And I think it can be the softer, easier way, and maybe even a way to read about the rooms of AA, looking at you, who you are, looking at Instagram or reading your book. You're like, oh, okay. So it happens to normal people, because people think it's like the homeless AA meeting is like,
Oh my God.
and I don't know how else to explain. It's not what you think. I promise. Just go listen to an open meeting and you'll be like, oh, this is nothing probably like what I thought. But yeah, I think you do a great job. And I like that in the beginning of all the chapter labels, you have it very well displayed to where if someone wants to go to a specific section that they want to say, oh, I'm dealing with having 1 year sobriety. Oh, okay. I kind of want to read at 1 year. And I like that
Great.
you have the dry drunk, the God, the big deal. You even have the part where you're talking about your brother, the sex section,
And
I mean, and
probably skipped that chapter.
I love the marriage with a twist of humor. I thought it was very well done. I loved the pictures. It's broken up very nicely. Uh,
I mean, besides the first few chapters that are state, all my
yeah.
otherwise you can read it in any order.
If you or someone is sober curious, I think this would be a great book.
I think it's a good springboard. Before I got sober, I picked up a book called Drinking, a Love Story. And I think it was Carolyn Carr that wrote it. I couldn't finish it because I wasn't ready to quit drinking. It sat on my shelf for 4 years. Then when I got sober, I read it and I was like, no wonder I couldn't read it. It was too real. I didn't want to know how she got sober. I didn't want to read about all her escapades with men. It was so my story. I was like, nope, not reading this. But I did, and it was amazing. And that might happen with this book. It might be too big. And that's okay.
It hits when it's supposed to hit, but I think it all builds to when you're ready. The truth is, nothing can happen until you're ready.
I think I mentioned it maybe near the back, or maybe it's in the phone about just put a bookmark in it. If it's too much, come back to it. Because it could be, and that's okay. It doesn't have to make sense right away. But if it's someone
absolutely,
they're curious.
For your book, is there a certain way you would like people to purchase it, like through your site?
Right now, it's only available on Amazon. I am working on getting it on Barnes and Noble and a couple other areas, as well as my own website. My Meta accounts all were suspended 2 weeks ago, so I've been rebuilding. I had 2,000 plus followers on Instagram. So if I have any plug today, try to find my new Instagram page and follow me. It was heartbreaking.
I'll put it somewhere below.
Yeah, so right now you can buy it on Amazon. If you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, I'll eventually have them on other channels too.
Awesome. Yeah. Meta, I have a level 2 suspension of something. I'm not sure what is going on.
No, and there's no way to reach anybody.
Nope.
The thing said our technology detected a violation, which he tells me it was AI. It was like, well, I don't have time to wait for you guys to approve this, so I'm just going to rebuild everything.
I've debated it. Since December 14th. I have not been I have been like on and I've messaged, and then I think I get an AI bot, and I'm like, okay. And then I end up letting it go because that's what my program teaches me to do. I'm like, I'm going to give it to the universe. And then it keeps going to the night. And I'm like, okay, my Instagram will go to whoever needs to see it.
But it's kind of like whack-a-mole. I feel like I just get it figured out and then something else pops up. It's another challenge. The other Should I Do Sober page I started on Instagram is still there, but I can't log in. I can't do anything with it. It should be gone by July.
If you have a friend struggling, if you're thinking about getting sober, or if you are sober, because I'm sober and I enjoyed reading it. It's very relatable. You're very honest. It's unfiltered. And it wasn't a triggering read for me. It was very things that I yep, me too. Me too. It's anything I would hear in a meeting is pretty comparable. But if you've not been to a meeting, yes, it is. I guess you get used to the unfiltered truths. I know when someone's not telling the truth, I'm like, I don't hear that empathy. And
Yeah.
my mom did tell me before my first meeting, don't go trying to bullshit, because those are bullshit experts in there. Don't try and do it. But okay.
Nod. Yep.
Well, thank you so much for coming on Sober. It has been so nice to talk to you. It has been nice to get to talk with the author of the book I've been reading for the last few weeks. I will put all the links below, and thank you for coming on Sober Banter. I'm going to press for Kellie.